Hello there, tarot people. We have the card of the day today is the Emperor reversed. My goodness. So there he is, standing properly as he should be. A lot of imagery there with the Aries and of the rams and the strong red colours of his coat and his mature beard and scepter and armor wearing man. So I was sitting with this card today because I knew that this card had something important to tell me, and I've been working on a lot of the stories which are very much in tune with this Emperor reversed, and so I'm going to share a little bit of my personal story just so that hopefully you can find some understanding there in your own life. So the Emperor represents, this very strong, male dominating, responsible, clear, he's clear person. He's very focused. He has a strong will. He dominates the room and he is the boss. He is the emperor of his kingdom. He's not afraid of control and taking responsibility, and he stands for discipline. He stands up for his rights, and he stands up with conviction in his life. And a lot of these stories I'm finding, I have big issues with, and the conviction story is to be able to stand up for yourself. I find myself often in relationships and attracting relationships and looking and seeking for either a business relationship or a personal relationship where my conviction to stand up for myself is challenged, and where I quite readily give away my power. It's what I was finding today when I was sitting in meditation with this car was the responsibility story, and I realized that there's a big part of me that doesn't even want to be responsible for my own life. There's part of me that wants to take the back seat, sit in the back and just be driven around, because I unconsciously think it's the easiest way to just be driven around, and then I can just fall asleep in the back seat and relax. Or maybe also another thing is that here there is, there's this fear that we have of not being good enough, and when somebody else is also responsible for the things that I do and the actions that I make, in other words, I'm working in partnership with somebody else, but if somebody else is also responsible, then hey, I don't have to own up to not being good enough when I fail, for example, because I realize I'm not really scared of failing so much, but I am scared of not being good enough and what the failing might represent. I don't mind failing and learning from the mistakes, but I do mind, I don't feel comfortable not feeling good enough, and this is part of the story of the emperor here. And so I will give away my power as I am willing to give away my responsibility. And this is a big lesson to own up to and make the decisions for yourself in your life, and for me in my life, and I realize that some of the decisions I make on a day-to-day basis, they can be small ones, but they're not always the best decisions for me. And I'm lacking discipline sometimes. I'll easily get distracted and procrastinate in my work, and I'll find 5 different ways to just put it off till later type of thing. This is me really not owning that emperor inside of me and wanting to stand up and fight for my work, fight for who I am, fight for what I really need to do. And it's going to reflect in my relationships. And I've often called in, maybe women with strong masculine qualities that I can just take the second seat, and allow to dominate me and myself. And there's this part of me that's not willing to stand up, and this emperor represents this for me. And I'm like, oof. an important lesson. He's the instigator. This Aries energy starts energy, so he starts things, starts projects and stories, and he sees things through. He's gonna fight until the end, until the work is done. And I sometimes, will find myself lacking this conviction to see things through the end. This message is about reclaiming your power. He can also be a little bit controlling and manipulative when he's reversed like this, because he's got this, the reverse cards, for the way I read them anyways, they show something that's either repressed or is excessive to the extreme. So here we could have a lack of the Emperor where we're not standing up and for our right, or we can have an excessive Emperor, abusive, manipulative, controlling energy in our life that we have to learn to deal with, and we have to learn to temper in some way or another. Usually both of these extremes come because we repress this energy, or we have an issue with this energy on one level, and so we kind of push it away. We don't want to look at it. When we don't look at it, it comes and slaps us in the face with this rah, or it comes and slaps us in this face with a lack. And both will have kind of negative consequences in our life. And some of these stories that I'm bringing up today are part of these negative consequences and relationships with this guy. Also, there's a message to not be too hard on yourself, because he's going to, be that guy who's going to go to war, but it's not about going to war with yourself. It's not about making yourself scared or putting yourself down either. That is not the message of this card. So we can be a little bit softer on ourselves, at the same time be a little bit more disciplined where we need it. And this is his message, and I hope it's a good one for you today. All my love and all the peace, and don't fight yourselves too strongly, and don't sit in the back seat. Take the wheel.